The adventure van certainly doesn't need any help looking ugly. I'm hoping these factory black wheels are going to improve things. So welcome back, friends, to the shop. Today we're going to put the black wheels and the BFG KO2s on. Now, I bought these tires this summer, and I took them off to run my winter tires, my Finnish hubcap, thinking that that would be probably the best tire that I could run on the icy roads that we get. We have kind of some of the worst conditions ever because we're always hovering right between freezing, and it's thawing and freezing and thawing and freezing. And so I was really happy with the hubcap, and they, don't get me wrong, they are phenomenal tires. However, they don't look very good. I bought them before I had the four-wheel drive put on the van, and they're just these little skinny pizza cutters, and it bums me out every time I look at them because they look so bad with those, and I hate those silver rims. So I went on so anyway, the reason why I'm switching them in mid-winter is I've been driving Mrs. W's 4Runner back and forth, and these are my favorite tires, the BFG KO2s, and they handle so well on the ice and the slippery conditions that I just thought it doesn't seem like there's any issue with these tires, and that they seem to work just fine in these conditions. So I wanted to get some different wheels, and I know these are factory Ford steel wheels, and I bought these on eBay. The funny thing is that the Transits come with the gray wheels, the silver wheels, which don't look very good with those silly hubcaps. And when I was looking around, I noticed that the spare was black. I don't know why that is. So I went on eBay and I found a guy that was selling 4 spares. And so I bought the 4 spares and got the tires put up, and we'll put the factory steel wheels on. I know steel wheels are not for everyone, but I don't like those. Most of those aluminum wheels, the aftermarket wheels for vehicles, most of them are really tacky. I mean, they're gaudy, they're overdone. The quality on some of them are kind of dubious. The coatings are dubious. I'm just not a fan of aftermarket stuff unless it's really top notch. The factory guys, the factory parts, they test that stuff everywhere. They take it to Alaska, they take it to Death Valley, the coatings that they put on. You know, it's not the fastest high-speed stuff, but it's usually really, really quality, the good quality, the best quality. So I know every time I talk about the factory wheels, people are like, oh, you need to put aluminum wheels on. No, you put whatever wheels you want on there, that's fine. I like the factory look. I kind of like that dark, subdued, you know, government cop look, you know, like the black steel wheels. So these are my favorite. That's why I chose these. Not to mention the fact that the four-wheel drive was built around these particular the size. So we've got the right offset, we've got the right diameter, everything works well. You start getting into different offsets and stuff, and it just becomes a nightmare, and I just don't like it. I think most of them are tacky. Not all of them, but most of them are. I like the black steel wheels. I think they look cool. So let's pull it in here. We'll throw them on. I got to check the rear brakes too. I think we might need some pads on the back because I'm hearing some squeaking. So I want to check that out as well. So invite you to the shop, come hang out. We'll get this done, and we'll do a little before and after and see how it looks. It seems to me that every vehicle that I've had, the front brakes typically wear out quicker than the rears at a 2-to-1 or so. These Fords I've read are different because there's something that controls the braking that makes it equal, that you get just as much braking at the rear than you do at the front. I think it has something to do with maybe keeping it from diving because it's so tall. And I've heard that the back brakes wear out quickly. So we'll see here. Yeah, no problem there. There's almost just under ½ inch of brake pad on there. That's I drive like a grandpa anyway, so I've been surprised if I'd went through a set of brakes. Usually my stuff lasts a long time. All right, let's put our wheels on. Here you can see the difference in the tire sizes. We got a 245/75 R16 on the KO2, and then the Huckapolita is 225/75 R16. So pretty big difference there. These are the absolute biggest tires that I can get on here without having any rubbing issues. And here you can see the side profile. So it's a pretty big difference. I just adore these tires. My local tire guy, he's a great guy, but he's always trying to talk me out of these. I go in there and I'm like, you know, Paco, I want a set of KO2s. No, man, I got these other ones. They're just as good. They're less money, you know, some no-name brand. Like, no, I don't want the no-name brand. I want these. These are the best tires I've ever used. They're good in the summer. They're good in the winter. They're just a great all-around tire. You pay a premium for them. That's the downside, but they are. That's just what I like. I just don't want anything else. I'm just a homer for them. It's looking better already. It's going from old grandpa car to younger grandpa car. When you're tightening your lug nuts, make sure you do it in a star pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, or what, you know, across 5, just so, and don't tighten them too tight with your impact wrenches. I just get them snug and then put the weight, get the jack stand, get the weight on the tires and load the suspension, and then use a torque wrench to get the final bit. We'll put the Huckapolitas away. We might put them back on next winter. We'll see. It's always nice to have a spare set, right? With that done, we have to figure out what we're going to do with the spare. Now, because I'm running locking differentials front and rear, I have to have a full size, or not full size, I have to have a spare that's exactly the same size as the other tires. If you don't know this, most four-wheel drives, like traditional four-wheel drives, they're not actually four-wheel drive. You have one drive wheel on the back and you've got one drive wheel on the front. It's called having an open differential. And it's not ideal for off-road because if, for example, you get one of the tires off the ground, that tire will spin and you just won't get very good traction. So to get really, really good traction, you want locking differentials, and that's what I have in this. Eaton True Tracks front and rear. What that means is when you power up, it engages the locks and it drives all four wheels. I believe, if I heard right, the Eaton True Tracks are the same thing that they put in most military vehicles. It's really a good kind of a hands-off, you know, install it, never have to worry about it again differential. I've been very happy with them, especially on snow and ice. So I have to run a full-size spare because if you run the little tire that came with it that fits up underneath, it will. Imagine a running track, like you know how like a quarter-mile track sprinters will use. You know, the guy on the inside would actually run a shorter distance than the outside. That's why they stagger them. So when a vehicle is turning around a corner, the inside wheel is traveling a shorter distance than the outside wheel. And with a locking differential, that really plays havoc on it. So you need to have the same size tires. Problem we have here is I don't know if this big tire is going to fit up underneath there on the factory hole. So we'll find out now. If not, we have a couple options. We can, I can build a mount, we can put it up on top on the rack, which is not my preference because it's difficult to get up there, it's difficult to get off. Or a guy could spend the money and buy a rear tire carrier that mounts on the rear door, which I don't want to do that unless I have to, because those are pretty expensive. So let's see if we can get this to fit up underneath first. Second option will be we'll put it up on top and go with that. So we'll hope for the best here. Most of the Fords that I've owned have a winching system that you just turn, and it lowers a cable that you can drop or lower and raise the tire with from underneath. This is a pretty clever system, but complicated. I'm glad I'm not trying to figure it out in the middle of the night in an ice storm. So you take the base piece and then put that under the wheel and then thread this on there, and then it's got a cable similar to what you'd have like on a bike brake handle, and so that slides in there like that, lifts up, and then that keeper keeps that from coming out. Now as if we turn the crank, it should pull that up there into place. I still don't know if it's going to fit. All we can do is winch it up there and see what happens. Now would be a good time to click the thumbs up if you haven't already. We sure would appreciate that. Comments are always welcome too. That tire got hung up on that exhaust heat shield, so let's keep going. Testing with you. On a positive note, you can't see the spare unless you go down, and you can see it hanging down there a little bit, but just walking around, let's look at it from the back. I did get it to fit, but it's not perfect. So first problem is sits at a bit of an angle because it doesn't fit in the well that was designed for the small tire because of the increased diameter, and it does hang down there a little bit below the hitch. That's not ideal for off-road, as you can see, because that's gonna come in contact even before the trailer hitch. But I don't go off-road, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Second problem I had to overcome is underneath. Let's go take a look at that. So yes, I did get it to fit. It's up there, you can see it's pressed up against the rear receiver, and there's no other conflicts on the side, but it is tight. It doesn't hit the heat, fits inside the heat shields and all of that, but I had to put a ratchet strap on it and pull it up, cinch it up tight right there, hook that on there to that hitch, ran that around because of that rear differential. You see right there, that's a live axle. It's going to be moving up and down, and the way, without that ratchet strap on there, that tire is going to be rubbing on that rear differential cover, and it may still. I don't know. I'll just go drive it and see. I'm not super stoked with this setup here, but I need to have a spare, and I really don't want it up on top because I don't want all that weight. It's already top heavy enough, and putting another 75 pounds, 80 pounds up there, whatever these things weigh, is less than ideal. So that's kind of what we got. I'm going to have to revisit this and just think about it a little bit, but at least I've got a spare for now. On a positive note, you can't see the spare unless you go down, and you can see it hanging down there a little bit, but just walking around, let's look at it from the back. You can see it from the back. It's about 3 inches below the hitch, but as long as it doesn't rub on that axle, I think I can probably live with that. To put it up on top is going to, not only do you have the weight problem, but it takes up a lot of really important real estate up there for other things, solar panels and such. What I might have to end up doing is figure out a either go with an aluminous rear bumper with a swing out carrier here, or some sort of a carrier. I know they're available, but they're just so expensive that I don't know that I want to go that route. Anyway, that's the way it is. We'll try it and see, and if it doesn't work, then we'll have to go maybe with that rear mount carrier. I was just in the shop and I heard this crash, and all of a sudden the lights came on. It was so, you noticed it was really dark in there because this snow has been slowly melting and sloughing off of the shop, and it'd cover up all of the transit lighting, and this whole thing fell down at one time, and I wouldn't want to have been standing underneath of it. That's what it fell down last couple of years. It fell down and even bent the siding, but man, that was a big old chunk. I knew it was going to come down, but I just didn't know when. It startled me. Look at that. Boy, that is a lot of snow. This side here is next. That's going to come off there at any moment. I don't know about you guys, but I think that looks about 1,000,000 times better. So the final decision, so this is the factory hubcap. Do we go with the state cop looking, the government look there with just the lug nuts and the black wheels, or do we run the black hubcaps? I'll put a poll on there. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Hubcap, yes, or no hubcap? You can see in the spindles there, I can see a little bit of some rusty spots. If I decide to go without or leave the hubcaps off, I would normally paint those, but it's 19, well, it was 19 degrees, it's warmer now. It's probably too cold to paint. So I'll hit that with paint when I rotate the tires next time, if I decide not to leave these off. But man, that looks so good. Makes a huge difference. You just can't go wrong with black wheels. I think they always look like $1,000,000 bucks. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.